When we are born, the veil of illusion is there. There is a veil, a very thick veil, and the ego comes into play. So that's, it's very enticing. Their existence is their purpose. They're in this state of bliss or joy and serving from that place, and then that question is never there, is what is my purpose? We become our purpose. We embody that. Creator's work is to bring peace to every person, to everything in front of us. When we become one with the Creator, we are all part of the Creator. And when we lose the identities and roles and become back one with the Creator, we are doing the Creator's work. Every relationship, we're learning from the person. So if I'm triggered, I can actually then self-reflect. Like, why am I triggered? What did this bring up into me, out of me? And then that is something to look at that is still in me, keeping me from who I really am. Actually, it's a journey of self-improvement, journey of self-realization. Okay, this is still in me. I still have this in me. I'm still reacting to this. And how do I heal this? How do I bring love to this, actually? So if you look at Jesus Christ or Buddha or Krishan Ji or Guru Nanak Ji or Prophet Muhammad and all the enlightened beings that have come into this world, they left a wave and a path for other people. And they came into this human experience.
Hello and welcome to our podcast series, Spirituality Made Simple with Sukhy Ji. In our first podcast, we talked about what spirituality is, and today we will be exploring the purpose of life from a spiritual perspective. Let's go. Hello, Sukhy Ji. How are you doing today?
Good, Kiran. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. So today I'd like for you to explain to us, in spiritual terms or from the spiritual perspective, what is the purpose of our life here?
Kiran, I'd like to ask you a question in return first. Is what is your understanding of purpose?
So,
from a general
so I think when
sense.
I ask that question, I'm thinking, like, what is this all for? What's the purpose of it? What's the end game? And what are we supposed to gain from this? Like, why this whole exercise? Like, especially from my individual viewpoint on this is because I've believe in reincarnation. So apparently we keep repeating this exercise. We keep dying and taking birth again and growing through life, learning. And it's not easy. You go to school and you study and you have exams and then you go through all the struggles and then you do it over and over and over. And why? What for?
So what is the purpose? So I do want to take the spiritual perspective because this is our series. And sometimes we have a very different understanding of purpose and we attach it to a job or what we're delivering to the world and make it very tangible. From a mainstream perspective, the purpose has been linked to our job and what we deliver in the world. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how our essence and the purpose of this spiritual experience that we've come to have and what is the purpose of that. So the end goal of this spiritual experience, the purpose that we're here for, is to be enlightened, actually. To be God conscious, to be self-realized, to be self-actualized or enlightened. And that is the purpose of this human experience. Now, you talked about reincarnation and, many lifetimes. And because more often than not, we don't do it in one lifetime, we don't become self-realized in one lifetime, the soul then comes back, chooses to come back to carry on that experience and gain enough wisdom. That's what we're here to basically experience and become, is wise and gain enough wisdom to be enlightened. That is actually, in a nutshell, the purpose of life.
I see. And and so is it So nobody ever achieves it in one lifetime?
I would not say nobody, but very rarely. Because when we are born, the veil of illusion is there. There is a veil, a very thick veil, and the ego comes into play. So that's, it's very enticing. The world and the illusion is very enticing, and more often than not, we get caught up into that. So we forget what our soul has planned to experience in this human life experience. We forget once we come here. And therein lies the play.
And so
the game of life.
Yeah, it's a very complicated kind of, game or puzzle, what have you.
Yeah. If you look at it like from somebody who's very spiritually connected, they're not asking what is my purpose. They are it. Their existence is their purpose. Mm-hmm. They're in this state of bliss or joy and serving from that place, and then that question is never there, is what is my purpose? We become our purpose. We embody that.
So this is after you've self-realized, but before that, then it's like all this.
Before that, it can be something that I've got to get to or got to attain, or sometimes we associate it with a job or like a movement, or, maybe homemaking. We attach it to certain attributes or qualities or actions. But it is our existence, and then we're our purpose wherever we go. To be radiant, to be bliss, to be joy wherever we go.
It sounds very nice, and that's, I guess, the purpose of life. And then what about all the worldly things that we do? Like, we also have, I guess, worldly purposes as well. I mean, like you mentioned, the career or the family or whatever else. So somehow one has to make them all jive, right?
Yeah, I like the word jive. So we talked about what is spirituality in the first episode, and I think when we become one with the Creator, we are all part of the Creator. And when we lose the identities and roles and become back one with the Creator, we are doing the Creator's work in every person in front of us. So that could be raising the children, that could be in your job, in your occupation, it could be in your friend circle, where you are doing the Creator's work. And the Creator's work is to bring peace to every person, to everything in front of us, and to uplift, to join them back to the Creator. So you become Creator's creation, doing His work.
So this is after self-realization.
Yeah.
But keeping in mind just average viewers like myself.
Yeah.
So for us, where we're not there, so what is the purpose of our life?
So when we look from the bird's eye view, each person's purpose is the same. We're here to be enlightened. We're here to be self-realized, to realize we are God in action. What you're referring to, I think, is like in our day-to-day roles and responsibilities, how do we identify with that purpose? I would always take it back to the bird's eye view. I'm here to be self-actualized, and how then does that play out in every action and reaction and role and responsibility I have? How do I bring that into an opportunity to awaken? So then there we become the student of life. Every relationship we're learning from the person. So if I'm triggered, I can actually then self-reflect. Like, why am I triggered? What did this bring up into me, out of me? And then that is something to look at that is still in me, keeping me from who I really am. And from my true purpose to be one with the Creator, I still have some triggers here. I still have some actions and reactions going on. I want to heal this. So we become basically with self-development in action to get to still then our purpose.
So it sounds more like like a journey of self-improvement.
Actually, it's a journey of self-improvement, journey of self-realization. Okay, this is still in me. I still have this in me. I'm still reacting to this. And how do I heal this? How do I bring love to this, actually? And heal it from a love place with tender loving care. And once that part of you is healed, you're closer to your purpose, which is to be self-realized. And then another part of you will be healed and you're closer to your purpose. And actually relationships are what show us that. What is still left in us to heal or what is healed. Relationships do that for us. So we're still in the world, but not of the world. In our purpose, we're not of the world. We're not like, we know this is, we're on vacation. We're in a human experience. This is temporary, where our life is from the womb to the tomb. And we always want to remember that. And everything in between the womb to the tomb is an opportunity to learn and to become one with the Creator. Everything is for that. Actual purpose is that. I'm not one to say, go find your true calling or go find your vocation and identify that as your purpose. Those are actions that we're doing in the world. But at the core, our purpose is to wake up in this human experience.
Interesting. I'd like to ask you to sort of elaborate a little bit on relationships, when you talked about how our relationships are showing us what our triggers are or what still needs to be worked on. So if you can just kind of elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think we will have an
examples.
opportunity to go deeper into relationships and spirituality. But just in a nutshell, if I'm constantly triggered by somebody, more often than not, that person hasn't installed that button in me of anger or fear or jealousy or guilt or shame or whatever the trigger is. It's in me from probably childhood and the earlier years, but that person has come as a catalyst to show me that it's there. So they pressed the button. They just pressed the button, they didn't install it. And that button goes right down like that, the pressing of the button, the vibration goes down to the button and I react. So then that tells me that I'm still hijacked by this emotion and my reaction is still there. So then I go inwards. How can I heal this part of me, this trigger that still lives in me, that is still taking up space in my human experience? How do I heal that and then move on? You thank the person actually that's in front of you.
Because that was gonna be my next question, is like, how do we then do the healing?
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Sometimes it's easier said than done initially when we're in reaction stage, but we thank the person that's in front of us for showing that that is still in me somewhere living, and it's an opportunity to really heal that. And tender loving care is the way. How would we deal with a child that is having a tantrum? We show them love, we show them care, we show them understanding, we show them compassion, and instantaneously they settle down and they forget and they're off to their next little endeavor. And that's us too.
So in this case, we're showing the tender loving care to ourselves or to the other person in the relationship?
Self always first. Okay. Self always first, because we're becoming self-actualized, we're becoming self-realized, and we can only be with people at the level we're at. We can only seeing people what we have inside ourselves. So if we are full of joy or compassion and love, then we can give that to the other person. But if we're full of anger and jealousy and resentment and etc., 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 then that comes out to the other person too. So always self. The more you love, care and consider yourself and heal yourself, that's what we become in the world. And therein again embodies the purpose of life. The more self-realized and actualized we are, the more we can then bring that out to the world and help other people grow and become self-realized.
Yeah, so it's not, I mean, it might sound kind of selfish because self is first, but ultimately it does work towards a greater good.
Absolutely. What we are is what we share. And that is our contribution to the world.
Yeah, so we kind of contribute It sounds like we are part of the overall vibration. So if we uplift ourselves, it will uplift around us.
Humanity.
Humanity.
So if you look at Jesus Christ or Buddha or Krishan ji or Guru Nanak ji or Prophet Muhammad, then all the enlightened beings that have come into this world, they left a wave and a path for other people. And they came into this human experience. They embodied their purpose. And now, thousands of years later, we're still referring to them as these great enlightened beings. And so that is actually all of our purpose.
Which, sounds great, but also sounds very lofty and very, very kind of not very attainable for,
So in the future podcast, we will talk about how that can become attainable. And actually, it is not difficult if we just drop into ourselves. We're having a spiritual experience and not human doings, become a human being. We are spiritual beings having a human experience.
That was great. Thank you, Sukhy ji. Really looking forward to learning more in depth on how to attain that purpose that we talked about today. Our next podcast will be on inner peace and how to find it. Stay tuned. Thank you.